As the glowing sunrise beams through the early morning mist, the lake is so still, you can feel it listening. The looming trees are so guarded, you can feel them watching. The others will be here shortly, but their voices are still too distant to detect. You reach down to grip the dirt, allowing it to slip between your fingers. Distant memories echo through the lands of lives that have come before, pleading to not be forgotten. Future moments to be cherished, lives to be lived, smiles to be shared, hardships to be overcome. As two birds dance above you from branch to branch, sharing a song of hope, a memory brings a smile to your face. A forgotten shore, a new beginning we share. Will you meet us there?
Hello and welcome back to Season 3 of Dice Jesters, where we deep dive board games through 10x10s and 10x10 challenges as we pick 10 games, play them 10 times, and because these games are going to be heavy this season, we're going to play other things in between, and that's completely okay. To start this second game here, Dave has chosen Boonlake. Why? I don't know. So, I guess, Dave, why did you choose Boonlake?
Well, this is a game by Alexander Pfister, who is a designer that I haven't played a ton of his games, but I've played enough of them over the years, but more of his light titles, like Isle of Skye is a really good tile-line game that I've played of his, and he has this card game called Port Royal that I really enjoy too. But he has these bigger, heavy games like Great Western Trail, Maracaibo, Boonlake, and I've always wanted to deep dive into his games. I've always been intrigued by his design style, and this game kind of fit into this exploration theme that we were going for. I found it on a good Black Friday sale from the publisher and decided to pick it up and give it a try because I've heard this game is really cool. It has a lot of things that we really enjoy in other games that we've played. Like, for example, it kind of has a similar flow to a game like San Juan or Puerto Rico, where you get to select an action, you get to do something, and then everybody else gets to do something too. So it kind of keeps you engaged where the turns feel pretty quick, which I know we enjoy.
We do enjoy that.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just staring at the game, and I guess I'm kind of confused right off the bat. So it's called Boonlake. I don't know what boon means.
So I can read you the backstory here, and I guess the whole theme of this is we have found this land that was once inhabited years ago and has since been abandoned for the most part, except for a few people, but we are kind of resettling this area. We've picked up wherever we moved before, and we have found new land out in this. But it has this kind of like almost futuristic sci-fi kind of font and text.
Okay.
So,
like the Wild Wild West?
Yeah, like lost technology. So it says, finally, you have arrived at Boonlake. The abandoned region along the shore of the lake of the same name almost seems uninhabited. There is only a small group of people watching over nature and trying to develop life according to their own ideas. The land has hardly been explored, but the gorgeous surroundings will provide valuable opportunities to improve the lives of Boonlake's inhabitants. On your turn, you have to choose one action, and all of you will benefit from it. Exploring, settling, breeding cattle, hiring, modernizing, building, sailing. What goals will you pursue? It's all up to you in Boonlake. So did that answer your question on what Boon is?
Not really. But, I'm staring at the board too. And are these lakes or ponds?
Oh.
We're not going to start this debate.
Yeah.
We start this debate every time we go for a walk. But
Okay, what is a pond versus a lake?
Okay.
Because this is a hotly contested topic.
Between you and I, yes. A pond is a small, or it could be, the circumference could be large, of water, but it's shallow enough that when you look down you see the bottom, or the sunlight gets to the bottom.
Oh, okay.
So usually the ones with like the fountains and whatnot, and then lakes are generally massive and tend to have areas where sunlight can't hit the bottom. And then most of the time lakes lead to rivers, and the rivers lead to the ocean, while ponds may be more landlocked. So,
that
looking at this,
superbly answers my question.
looking at this, we kind of have like this one in the southern area that kind of stops here. So it kind of, I don't know. But there's also like dams in here. So I don't know. I guess maybe through playing I'll find out what kind of
Perhaps.
I don't know. To me, when I look at this, I think of miners. Like, I think of mining for gold, because you have this whole left side here where it has these rocky edges, and then you have the train tracks where They could load the train, put the gold on, and this looks like a uranium mine, and this looks like another, oh, that's like a ruby mine. Yeah, look at that. Oh, okay, so this isn't uranium, this is like steel. So you got steel and ruby just based off of looks. Oh, and here's some loggers.
You seem like you're really getting into the theme. But can I ask, did you see the cows on the board?
I did see the cows. They're like eating coins. Yeah, they did. Oh, you know what? The board. Okay, so the board looks really cool too because it has the divots on the inside.
Yeah.
So it holds nice. But looking at the board specifically, it kind of reminds me of when we played Nucleum.
Yeah.
Where it has like the little houses and stuff.
I love that too. I love boards that have the recessed double layer.
Oh, that's what it's called, recessed.
Yeah.
Not just like little divots. But no, if I had to guess what this was, just from looking at it, it looks like you need to build up this town, and then you have some farming, houses, some people, and then some working buildings that produce goods for you. And then you have these 2 boats, which I'm guessing you want to start a kind of like a trade route in a way to get your boats to go to the proper place.
Oh, I actually realized they're in the box, but there's we should have a couple boats of our colors on here, and we're actually sailing down this river.
And what are we doing?
Like in the game? Or
yeah, for sailing down it.
Yeah, so as part of your turn, on your turn you actually get to select one of these action tiles, do the action, but then you'll sail your boat down the river based on the number at the slot that you selected. You can move it up to that many spaces, and then you get the bonus of wherever your boat stops. And It's kind of the timer for the game, because when we get to this fork right here for the first half, we'll go down this way, and then once somebody reaches the end of this, that'll trigger the end of that half of the game, and then we'll go back, and then we'll sail down this side of the river, and then that's when the game ends. So
this is a 2-half game?
Yeah.
Like there's what? Okay. Yeah,
or maybe they wanted to design the board in a specific size, and instead of being able to make one long river, they had to think of a creative way to make it so it could all fit onto one.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. And then the points based off of it hitting 100, and then you have these tokens that flip over to 200. I'm guessing that it's going to be a point salad game.
I think so. It seems like there's a lot of ways.
And I'll probably be like stressy-depressy if I don't hit 100.
Yeah. Or 200 in your case.
I know. I'm like, oh, I failed.
And then you'll be looking online to see what people's top score was. Oh, I have to beat that.
Oh, yeah. What game was that? Where I remember?
I think it was Le Havre, wasn't it?
Was it Le Havre? There was a game where I was just like, oh, my score sucks. And then I looked it up and it was like, oh, the creator got that score. And I was like, yes. Yeah. No, it was Targi.
Targi.
Yeah.
That was so funny. You were so excited.
I was so excited. You got it rubbed in your face for like weeks.
I did. But the cool thing is, too, and this is one of my favorite things in games, by the way, when you get to build things from your board, and then when you remove it, it opens up a spot that gives you some kind of ongoing bonus. Like this gives you 2 coins when you take a house off at the end of each interim scoring round. So you can unlock these abilities, and then if you remove enough of these at the end of the game, you actually get bonus points at the end as well. So
okay. Well, I'm excited. You know, looking at this earlier, I would say I'm intimidated. But after playing, I don't know,
especially
30-ish games, I'm just like, they all kind of follow the same pattern, so they just look different. Like on the outside, they might look scarier, but they're not.
Exactly. I think that there's a lot you're going to enjoy in this game, and I'm excited to teach you. We'll see how I do at teaching this game.
Yeah. Well, what's with all this talking? Let's just jump right in, right? Okay, let's get in to the first round, and then we'll come back for my first impressions. So we are back from my initial play of Boonlake.
We did some exploring.
Yeah, we did some exploring. We discussed...
Got some cows.
Yeah, you got cows. We discussed ponds versus rivers.
Yeah.
And
streams versus...
No, we've never... No, but we did talk about how how do I go up the stream? Since I'm already down the stream.
Downstream, upstream.
Downriver Dave.
Downriver Dave. That's my nickname in this game. Apparently.
We all have nicknames, I guess. I'm Jess Julie. And Lupin's Lupin, maybe? I don't know.
Lucky Lupin?
Lucky Lupin. I don't know. He wasn't that lucky. He came up here. He hit your counter cube off the table, and I was like, yes, he likes mommy more. And then he looked at me and hit mine off. So now I feel like he understands what I'm saying, and it made me feel sad.
I think Lupin's always interested in the games that we're playing.
Is he interested?
Like the more stuff that's on the table, he's like, oh yeah, you set this all up. Well, we'll see about that.
He's all like, tell me I'm cute. And you're like, oh yeah, you're pretty decent. And he's all like, what? And then poof, onto the floor.
I still think we should do it where we set out a blue piece and a yellow piece,
yes,
or purple piece, depending on the game.
Yeah.
And see which piece he goes for as a prediction of who's going to win this 10x10 challenge.
Well, he's going to pick mommy's because I've been with him longer. Yes.
Hey, just because you have a win percentage of 53%.
Oh, it's 53 again?
We'll see after this. It's going down. I don't even know.
Well, I don't even know because I don't know how I feel about this game after one play. I mean, that's how it was for Orleans. And what other game was it? Was it Wingspan that I also didn't know how I felt?
I think every game at this point is hard to tell.
Yeah, I think...
Arnak, you didn't really know.
Really? Yeah, maybe.
Kind of. You're
I
like,
can't remember Arnak.
Yeah.
Feels like a blur.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I feel because it's... Some of the pictures don't make sense to me. So it's kind of making the game a little difficult for me. But while we were playing, I kept getting this like slight sense like, am I missing something? Am I missing something? And then I thought about it and I was like, nope, this is the game. And because this is the game, Dave's probably gonna win because there's no distractions.
Oh, that's what it is.
This is like that one game that I can never beat you at.
Okay, so what do you mean by you feel like you're missing something? Like what aspect of gameplay made you feel that way?
So I feel like there's more that I can do, and I get that it's the first game, so there's always more. But I feel that I'm missing something. Like I'm missing whether that be how to go up a certain track or I don't know what. Maybe is the hat what a boon is? I've been wondering this whole time.
Okay, I need to look up the definition of boon. I know I've used the word. No, because
I was about to say, I was wondering if I should start buying boons. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's what it is. That's the boon. I know this because Wisconsin was wine country. The boon is the lever.
Well, technically you're right because according to the dictionary, it's a thing that is helpful or beneficial. So
yes, it's the lever that activates your special abilities.
Yes, which I love those.
That's the boon.
That's the boon.
This whole time. You like the first time you got the game, and then the Mystery Monday on the Instagram, and then like all this, I'm like, what is boon? And then just now, even after playing the game, just right now, as I'm explaining what's on the board, I remembered that's what a boon is.
I think Boonlake is a state of mind more than an actual place.
Yes. Yes, you just don't want me to have my epiphany.
So you felt like the game was easy, that's what you're saying. Like, too easy to do.
See, I don't want to say it's too easy because I know I'm going to lose.
Okay, but we need to take it back to Lost Cities.
Yes.
Because you said that game was easy, but you couldn't win it for the life of you against
because
every
it's
single
simplistic.
Time.
When it's simplistic, you win.
That's right.
You're very good at like dialing in.
Yes.
I'm very good at doing multiple things at once.
You can operate within chaos in every aspect of your life.
I need chaos. You need structure. So when a game is more structured and more straightforward, you win. When a game is chaotic and brings you great stress, I win.
What does that say about you as a person?
What does that say about you as a person? Look over me.
I appreciate your chaotic nature.
I appreciate your structure.
I think you're saying your simplistic mind.
I appreciate your heart.
That's funny. I did feel like this game was... Okay, let me just say, I really enjoyed our first play of it. It was a little bit long, but, we were learning it.
I still don't know how to explain it.
And, well, basically, you take a tile, an action tile. You get to do an action. Usually you get to play a card. You get to do something like placing tiles out on the board or upgrading a structure, putting people out. And then at the end of each round, there's 4 scorings in the game. You get points for cows next to things. You get points for parts of your board that were removed. And this game has a lot of points. Like, we both got pretty close to 200 points in the game. You get points for the cards that you play and everything. So that's kind of like the gist of what you're doing in the game.
Yeah.
Is if you've played a game like Terra Mystica, or...
I don't know what that is.
It kind of has similar feels to that, but...
It kind of reminds me of Year of the Dragon, the part where you can do something, where you take an action and you perform that action.
Oh, yeah, the action selection.
Yeah.
It reminded me more of San Juan or Puerto Rico in that
aspect.
That's true. You pick an action, you do it.
Everybody
else gets to do a thing.
Kind of melted together.
Okay, I will say, looking at the game, and the reason I chose it is because it looks kind of similar to a game that we're playing coming up called Cooper Island. Similar to a game coming up. And those games are insanely restrictive, insanely difficult to pull things off, in my plays of them at least. And so I thought, okay, Julie's really going to like this game because it's going to really itch that... Scratch that itch. I was like, itch doesn't feel like the right verb to use. It's going to scratch that part of the brain that you just... I'm doing bad with explaining this.
It's okay.
But then as we were playing it, I was like, wow, I feel like I'm able to do everything that I need to in this game. There's not really anything in my way. And I was wondering too, am I missing something? I need to go back and read the rules because we have the 4 different scoring objectives that you're going for, and each one didn't really feel that hard to pull off. Mine is the one where you trade in, I think it's vases or meeple for points to do a certain number of times. But if you plan ahead... There's really nothing you can't do in this game. Like, the sky is the limit. Yeah. And I like that personally.
Oh, I know.
I love the abundance. I'm like, yes, I can do whatever I want. It's so contrasting to my normal everyday life.
You want to deep dive my mentee? Here you are.
I'm like, oh, it's the one aspect of my life I feel control. I feel control. I just need a win. Sometimes, need a win. But that was kind of my impression of it. It was fun.
Yes.
And it was... not challenging to be able to do what I wanted.
Yeah.
So
I would say that it was simplistic in learning. So I think that anybody who wants to learn it can learn it. It's just, I don't know how I feel about how much I like it yet.
Yeah, we'll have to play it some more.
Yeah, we have to play it some more. Which, speaking of play it some more, should we just get into it? Because this is taking us a bit longer. It's taking us like an hour and a half, hour 45 to get through.
The question is, are you ready to bring your win percentage down to 52%?
I don't look at win percentage, okay? And we are back after our 10 plays of Boonlake. And I must say, I don't know how to describe it. Is a whirlwind an adventure? A journey.
The description was a whirlwind, that's for sure.
I don't know. Crime scene's definitely not it. That's not the word I'm looking for.
These are very confusing analogies.
A mystery? You're making the games.
An enigma. So many adjectives that are all over the place.
Okay, well here is my thought process, if you will, Dave. So it kind of starts with I remember when you were showing me the game, we went through it the first time. I was like, wow, this game is massive. This game is huge. This game is intimidating. I won't know how to play it. And
before we played.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you had told me the play structure of the game, like how the turns are done, what the cards are for, etc., etc. I was like, oh, that's pretty straightforward. And then we played it around, and I was like, I don't know. I feel tired. I need to go take a nap, right? And so we went through it, discussed our thoughts, and then we played 9 more times. And at the 10th game, I did phenomenal. I did great. I cleared my board. But the reason I'm so confused with this game is because the way it looks, the way you had presented the rules to me, I thought it was going to be a lot scarier than what it looked like, I guess.
Now, what do you mean by scary?
I thought it was going to be really intimidating, really brain-burning, really thought-provoking. I have to watch every single move you do. But then it had turned out to be a really easygoing game. It turned out to be an easygoing game that lasts a long time. And for new players, I think if a new player would like to get into a quote-unquote heavier game, if heavier game means it takes a longer amount of time, I think that this game would be a good entry-level game for that because it does take a long time, but the moves are very straightforward. So
Yes.
they're very, like, from the pictures on each of the tiles that you choose to all of the cards, like, everything is pretty easy to read. So let's say you pick a tile and there's a gray tile and then a meeple. I would say easy to understand that you get to lay a gray tile down and gain a meeple. While some other games, it might be a little bit more difficult. But in this game, I felt like there was nothing you couldn't do if you put your mind to it.
The possibilities were endless.
Mm-hmm. Like, you could try absolutely everything. You could do absolutely everything. You always got a similar move, like the person who was choosing what to do that round. Some were completely different. Like, some were, I get a, gray piece, or I get to lay 2 pieces down in a meeple or something, and then it was, you get to draw 2 cards. That was completely different. But then there'd be one where, if you choose this, you get to lay 1 meeple down, and then your opponent gets to lay 1 meeple down.
Right.
So it felt less competitive than it looked like, which I think is really good for new players or people who aren't competitive and they just like to play a game. What is the word? Because I've heard that there's like a word that people use where games are really difficult, heavy thinking, very competitive, not a lot of luck. Like, people tend to be, they say, I don't like these type of games, and that's because they prefer to have fun opposed to being so...
Be dry.
I'm not 100% sure. I'll have to think about it. But the things I did like about the game.
Yeah, what was your favorite thing about the game?
Okay. I'm gonna have to close my eyes so I don't have to look at you when I tell you what the favorite part of the game was, because I feel like you're gonna judge me.
Was it the cows?
No, it wasn't the cows. I know you might probably think that because of my farm in the Philippines, but my favorite part... I'm so sorry.
I'm ready for it.
No, I don't think you're ready for this. I don't think you're ready for this, Dave. But is when I need to close my eyes.
This is intense.
My favorite part of the game is when I got to change my meeples into houses because it reminded me of Monopoly.
Do you change things into houses in Monopoly? Or are you just like, you like putting the houses out?
Yeah, I like putting the houses out. So, like, in Monopoly, you got to put more than one house out, you know?
Yeah.
You're like, oh, yes, I get to have another house. I get another house. And then you're like, yes, now I get a hotel. Go ahead and land on that and claim bankruptcy.
Is that why subconsciously I love these games? I talked about route building games. Mm-hmm. They typically have little houses that you put out. Is it that subconscious part of my childhood of playing Monopoly with the houses and the hotels? I just love games that have houses and those little city-looking things.
Yes. I don't know. There's just something about a house meeple that makes me so happy.
A heeple?
A heeple. Like, I don't know. Maybe because it makes me feel as if I'm building a house or I'm, like, upgrading a house.
You're building something.
Yeah, and I'm like, ooh, my meeple gets to live in a house.
I love games that give you a sense that you're upgrading things. Like you're building something that you can look at the end of the game and say, oh, I did all of that.
Me too. I think that's what it is. That maybe if I had a normal meeple and then you could like upgrade to a meeple with a hat, and then you could upgrade with like a meeple with like a trench coat and a hat, and then a meeple with like a crown, I think I would still find it just as satisfying. But it could really be a nostalgic factor. Oh my gosh, like if there was like some hard version of Candyland, I would love it. It would be my favorite game.
Oh, like a new quote-unquote gamer version of Candyland.
Right. Like Candyland, but less luck mitigated. And have some strategic background to it.
Ooh.
You know what? I'm going to make it. I don't know. Maybe not. But you know what? I'm going to try.
Add it to our list of creative projects that are floating around.
We have so many. But I think overall, I would say that I don't go either way with this game. It's a very middle of the road game for me. Like, if you said, do you want to play it, and we have lots of time, and we're just kind of chilling, I would say, yeah, like, we could play that because I don't want to make my brain hurt, you know, but I also want something to stimulate it, like tickle it a bit.
Yeah.
So I'd be like, yeah, we can play it. Because my goal was to empty my board.
Yes.
And then I emptied my board our last round.
And I would say the two strategic parts of the game, other than I guess where you think about you're going to place your meeple out and start building things, but clearing your board and then those end of round objectives that you have to do each of them at 4 different points of the game.
Yeah.
And so you have to think of how you're going to build in a specific way to work toward those, which get more difficult each round. So you have to decide which one are you going to not focus on much, and then kind of focus on a little bit, and then focus on a little bit more, and then put all in. Usually it's the one that is of your color because you get double points.
Yeah.
But I would say that's about it. Other than that, it's a pretty tactical game.
Yeah, I'd say so. And I think with how we played it too, we discovered that after 10 rounds, and let it be like on record too, that we are taking our time this season. So it did take us...
We're letting it breathe.
Yeah, it did take us a little over 2 weeks to complete, I would say, right?
Which is still pretty quick, like by most people's standards.
A game a night, a game every other night.
Yeah, a few times a week.
Yeah, and I would say that this game would probably be best with more than 2 players, just because it would allow you to do more things. And then with that too, it would also make it a little bit more restrictive because people are going to be landing on tiles more. Just like, so for the cows, if you have a cow on a pasture, you get it for 1 meeple. But let's say there's already a cow there, so now you have to pay 2. Or let's say you're putting down your last 2 cows, or was it last 3 cows? Now you have to pay 3, depending on how many cows are there. So I feel like that would add more difficulty to it. So if you wanted non-difficulty, well, not non-difficulty, but if you wanted it to be less restrictive, I would say you could play it with 2 or by yourself. If you wanted it more restrictive, add players.
I would say so. I was thinking about that on our final rounds, because when you look at the board, unless I'm missing something, there's nothing that changes based on player count. Mm-hmm. So with 2 players, it's pretty much wide open. You can go and do anything, but there's also some elements of, I guess, positive player interaction in this game, where you get points for your cows that you place that are next to, are they settlements or cities? Like I keep thinking
I always call them
cities.
Like houses.
Yeah, but the upgraded, the largest house, the settlement.
I call them like
it goes
factories, but I think they're settlements.
Yeah. So even for other players, you get points at the end of each scoring, interim scoring, and then end game scoring too. So you're wanting to place nearby each other, and also to upgrade your house to the bigger settlement, it has to have this adjacency of 3 components, which could be other players too. So you're trying to like be next to other people in the right way. Mm-hmm. And I think it'd be more interesting with 3 or even 4 players as the board really fills in and you look at everything and try to find a spot that really maximizes stuff. And there's more opportunity for that, I think, with more pieces on the board by nature.
Yeah, that's very true. And it would look really aesthetically pleasing because you would have all those different colors and it would just be so cute. I do like the theme of it. I think that that's a cool theme, especially when you need the materials that you would dig up from like a cave or mine, the earth. Yeah. So I think that the theme overall was cohesive to what the gameplay was.
It was a strange theme because it's almost like this Western type theme.
Yes.
But there's also, when you look at the box and the rule book and stuff, there's like this sci-fi looking element to it with technology. I don't know. It's kind of a confusing theme. Just lean into it a little bit.
Do we play like 2 different games? I don't remember the sci-fi components.
It kind of has this, not like steampunk, but almost.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, and it's on the player board too, I think, some of the design on there, if you look closely.
Oh, maybe I just went straight over my head because I felt like it was like the Wild Wild West.
Yeah.
And you're like, but you said the Wild Wild West, which means if we're relating to the movie, it was steampunk.
Oh, yes. What a good one.
So this is completely off topic, but when I was in high school and I was taking film class, we had to watch a Western. And I don't know, I have this thing against Westerns. Okay, saying it against Westerns isn't correct, but I just don't like watching Westerns.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
And so I asked the teacher if I could watch Wild Wild West because in the title it's Wild Wild West, you know?
Yeah.
And she was like, you know what, Julie? Whatever you want. Just do your assignment. So if that's what you want to watch, watch it. So then I did. And I was the only one with the steampunk report of the Wild Wild West.
I remember when that movie came out. I saw it in theaters when it came out.
Did you?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, good for you.
Very excited.
I don't remember when it came out.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah. But I remember when the like animatronic spider came.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, that's so cool. And then like nowadays, it's just like, oh yeah, anything can be animatronic. We have AI. We can like AI an animatronic spider if we want, and then have it be more intense somehow.
I think my favorite part about the game, I really liked the action selection tiles were really cool. Just the flow of the turns of just pick a tile, do a couple of things that says, but then everybody gets to do something else, kind of like San Juan, like I talked about in the beginning.
True.
So I think if you were to show somebody a game like San Juan, get them familiar with the concept of you choose an action, then everybody gets to do a certain other thing.
Yeah.
Where every player's turn you get to do something. This might be kind of like a next, it might be a little bit, a couple steps up, but that I would use a simple game like San Juan to teach that and then lead into this game, I think would be a good path to familiarize.
Yeah, because you're learning different actions that you might not have done before.
Yeah.
So it is a good gateway game.
I would say so.
I agree with that. So I guess overall, it would be like a store it away. It wouldn't be like a keep it for us to play, and it wouldn't be like a trade it away, but it could be a store it away for like maybe family members who want a little bit more substance in a game, but want to be able to understand it still.
Yeah, I would say so. It was not necessarily a game as we played this that I was super, man, we have to get back and play that game tonight. Like three rounds of it. I was cool waiting a few days.
Yeah.
And it's not that I wasn't excited to play it. And when we started playing, I was like, oh yeah, this game is good, but I don't know that this is going to be my favorite game from this list, just with what I know that's coming up and everything. So yeah, I'm kind of like in the middle on it too.
I know.
Just maybe a little bit too, and I think you've gotten in my head with the whole restrictive nature of games. Because, okay, well, we're talking the last game. I made a weird comparison with Castles of Burgundy. Because Castles of Burgundy, your goal every game, even though you know you can't do it, is to fill in your board. Maybe there's somebody out there who's done it. Like, it just doesn't seem like it's possible. But a piece of you believes that you can. But every game you end with it not quite filled in, thinking like, oh man, maybe if I'd done things differently, I could have filled it in. This game in our final rounds, we were able to clear a board. And it felt like, okay. And we still had several turns left by the time that happened for you.
That's true, yeah.
So it just kind of became this boring slog toward the end where it wasn't as nail-biting until the very end. Mm-hmm. So it felt a lot more wide open than a game.
That's true. And I got to count your points the whole game because I was looking at the cards you were playing.
Wow. But yeah, no, I had fun though. But thank you for playing that.
Yeah, I still had fun.
Yeah.
So thank you for playing it too. And thank you for listening to us this week. Be sure to join us next week. If you have any questions or games that you love, feel free to let us know. Our email is thedicejesters@gmail.com. We would love if you joined us on Instagram. Our Instagram is dicejesters. And we are also on Patreon now. If you want to support us in any way, we would be over the moon, or should we say over the Boonlake?
Oh, over the Boon.
Over the Boon. If you would love to join us there, our Patreon is Dice Jesters. But speaking of Boonlake, in Boonlake's realm, where waters flow, we built our dreams, watched our fortunes grow, with each turn taken, strategies entwined, a journey of friendship and memories enshrined. As the game concludes, let laughter remain for every challenge faced. There's joy in the gain. Till next we gather for more tales to weave. In the heart of Boonlake, we'll always believe.